Hello, everyone. This is Todd Talks, and today I'm joined by Jim Davis. Big surprise.
Aha.
And we're talking about the Blood Hunter today. Actually, really excited for the Blood Hunter and the revised Blood Hunter that's on DM's Guild right now. You can also play the Blood Hunter on D&D Beyond. What I particularly like about this class is I feel that it brings something very fresh and new to D&D in the sense that this is almost kind of like a weird amalgamation of, I would say, a little bit of alchemy and ranger, and it's like the darker side of magic, which I've always wanted. Certainly warlocks are very often kind of associated with being the dark side of magic, but these are like the dark warriors that are basically juicing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
With arcane rites.
Yes.
And it very much has that kind of Witcher vibe to them, which
Oh, yes.
I absolutely love.
Oh, yes.
And the reason I think that's such a great kind of genre, and The Witcher works so well is you can have this very arcane character who doesn't necessarily know all things arcane. Like
Right.
this is someone who is like unnatural. They've gone through these rites. They've ingested these chemicals to be something extra, but they don't necessarily know how it all works. They're just almost like kind of mad scientists, and they're just much in the way like I love the Arcane Trickster, right? Arcane Trickster is
Oh,
just kind of
yes.
getting by.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the movie,
unless you ended up snagging your arcane proficiency and sinking an expertise into it, which I don't know anybody that's done that.
And I would argue like the Arcane Trickster is one of the most perfect subclasses in 5th edition.
I love it. It's one of my favorite rogues. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and so powerful. Giving someone disadvantage also on saves is it is a niche within a niche within a niche. Like it just fills a lot of places, and this is kind of how I feel about the Blood Hunter in general. It's a type of play that's nice, dark, and gritty that I don't always get with my D&D. There's a few rangers that maybe get kind of close, like the Monster Slayer, but I don't know. They don't scratch that itch to this degree. This thing tears at the itch with a large dagger.
Easily, yeah, right. Like, these are the warriors who've like done something to themselves.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. And like when I think of a D&D world with like all of the magic in it, all of the monsters, all of the threats that like,
right.
Why would you just be a normal person with some armor and weapons? Why would you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you seek to enhance your fighting ability through supernatural means? And it's because it's not spells, right? It's not like an Eldritch Knight, or it's not like just like swapping out the Ranger spell list for another spell list or something, but because it's these unique mechanics that sort of like first off offer a lot of different options and choice points as you're creating your character and leveling them up, but like you have something that's different than spells, but still obviously magical, and that's what I really like. And it captures the feel of like, well, the Witcher can do signs, he can't do magic. He just has like little things he can do to boost. So that's I mean, that's what I love about it too.
And it's one thing that I always want more in my D&D is not alchemy in terms of like the artificer, but alchemy. Like I love brewing potions. I love downtime activities.
Yes.
I love, and certainly there are spell components for all spells, but I like the idea of someone who is just like, I'm injecting monster blood to become more powerful.
Yes.
Or I am the result of some kind of terrible curse or an organization that has altered me permanently. I like these side cases, these almost like the fallout of magic.
Yes. Yeah. The consequences of living in a magical world are one of those things that I think are like really rich for exploring world building and like creating adventures out of. And Blood Hunter touches on that. It's like there's all kinds of weird magic out there that doesn't fit inside the neat spells per day sort of package.
Right.
It's like, if there's magic in the world, then is there not magic soil that mixes with magic seeds to produce magic food that if you ate it all your life and generations of you ate it, you would be fundamentally different than the rest of humanity, or yeah, we don't know how or why we're doing what we're doing, but we do blood transfusions from monsters, and
Yeah.
like taking monster organs and blood and the magic of life, and turning it to the turning yourself into a monstrous homunculus that then goes and fights other monsters is just there's so much you could play with there in terms of like every aspect of D&D, the roll and the roll. You get both sides of the coin.
This is the thing that these are the weird things I love about D&D. When I was playing third edition, I was always on the hunt for poison. As I was saving up my cash, buying poison, and that made the world way more real to me. Because you can get kind of complacent about spell slots and spells. But I think you're missing out if you're not like having, say, the wizard doesn't have that journey of like having to learn spells. Buy scrolls, spend money to learn these spells. Don't be afraid to set your wizard's spellbook on fire, by the way.
For real, though.
But
so I should have multiples.
Yeah, that's why you
have a traveling copy and your home copy.
Yeah, put all your eggs in one basket. But I think that's what makes things really interesting, and I think the Blood Hunter very much speaks to that kind of like, this is the fallout. Like it makes the things feel very real.
Yeah.
And it provides a lot of role play opportunity.
Sure.
It is definitely the arcane, I think, ranger in many ways.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Though I don't know that I think this would have made a very good ranger. I think I like that this is a class of its own, and I very much like that there are multiple subclasses for it. Because I think that to keep this uniqueness going, because this is partially inspired by the last Witch Hunter and lots of Witcher vibes as well. Anything with witch in it basically is kind of in this. This is your super gothy warrior, right?
The Ghost Slayer,
the
Profane Soul. Which there's some, when we get to it, I have some questions about what happens if you multi-class into a warlock and have a separate patron. But I'm of the opinion that you should be able to have as many patrons as you want to risk.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But that's jumping away. I love all of them. The Order of the Lycan is the one that I usually go to with like I have a bugbear blood hunter that I just keep wanting to turn into a big furry man beast. And then Order of the Mutant to me really reads like The Witcher. Like that's the one where you're experimenting with yourself. You're like balancing. I like that it has drawbacks. Like I like that there's trade-offs. You have
there's
to like,
risk and reward here.
There's risk and reward. It's
as we very well know from watching Critical Role the show. Not to hurt anyone's feelings, and we're not going to spoil anything.
No, certainly not. But some of that now. The one Blood Hunter that I'm most familiar with is the old style Blood Hunter. So this new update, I'm still familiarizing myself with. But I understand they made that Mercer made some changes to it and how it functions and how it anyway, no spoilers. I love this class. It's great. And one of the things I like about it, to kind of turn it back around to just the class as a whole, is how fiddly it is.
Yeah.
Like the first time I saw it, along with the Gunslinger, but the first time I saw these two, is like, these feel like just like a more complex class. So like I said earlier, there's a lot of choice points there. There's, once you've leveled up, and I love the way that like you can really tell in D&D Beyond, if you just like select your level to 20, you can see all the choice points in a class of when you have to make a decision. And it's like neat to get like, say, Warlock in like every level or something, you're making some kind of decision.
Yeah, that's right.
And I felt similarly with the Blood Hunter, although not to the same extent. It's like I like that my character can evolve and grow within the class based on what options I take, what curses, what rights, that kind of thing.
It's a very third edition D&D class in a good way. Because I'll be honest, I was a very big fan of the prestige classes. Being able to start out as a rogue, and then you decide to become an assassin, and it kind of had this very video gamey like progression, which we still see in a lot of MMOs today. I think like Rift, that's a good example. Very good game, not the best PvP. But it reminds me of that kind of system of like you evolve and branch off, and this is definitely, this allows you to make the subclass your own in a big way because of all those decisions, and I love that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, really, it's sort of like I toy with it. Say with like my favorite is the Order of the Lycan, and so it's like, what kind of damage I do with my right choices like informs a lot of how I see the
Right.
nature of the beast that comes out. And is this like a sort of a draconic type creature, almost like you could easily look at it as say, I'm a dragonborn, stats don't match up, but I don't care at this point. Maybe lizard folk, something like that. And you go less like werewolf and more werecroc that has with fire. So there's so many different options, like to just play something that's different, that's kind of like you said, dark and edgy, and that's complex. And I like that the option exists. It's fun.
Yeah, it's listen, I always want more gothic in my D&D, and this itches that scratch. Clearly I do after my previous our off-camera conversation with Jim. I also like that this is an intelligence based, basically, melee class for the most part.
Yeah.
Because we don't have enough intelligence based classes. Now, certainly we have the artificer now.
Yeah.
But man, we got a lot of charisma based classes.
Certainly. And it's like now there's some more overlap with something like if you wanted more magic or whatever, like you could, I guess, maybe multi-class into Eldritch Knight, although that's a little deep into fighter. Personally, if it were me, I already let Warlock swap charisma and intelligence anyway, because I think it fits.
Oh, interesting.
And I think like if you were a profane soul and multi-classed into Warlock, I don't think I'd make you switch to charisma.
I think Warlock makes a lot of sense for intelligence or charisma.
Yeah, I think it could be both.
Yeah. I mean, certainly your patron's gonna have high charisma potentially because
certainly
you to make the pact in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm always fond of more intelligence-based classes. We have enough wisdom. We have enough charisma. Obviously, we're not gonna get any con.
Right.
So you like the Lycan? Tell me what you like the Lycan specifically.
I mean, I just like anything that can turn into something else. Like I like anything that can Hulk out.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter to me. Is it a shifter? Is it a druid? I like something that has a battle form. And I also like the idea of of someone weaponizing lycanthropy.
Yeah.
And like
which we've seen so much about, right? Like this is the other thing. This fills so many roles within fiction. It's kind of alarming because again, like this is very, very Witcher. This is very The Last Witch Hunter. This is, I don't know, anything from Underworld, the movies.
Certainly.
You're like actually, one of my favorite Underworld was fairly recent when the werewolves were like juicing themselves and they made one giant werewolf, and I was like,
yes, absolutely, yes, let's do it. So I like that. Like to me, they all speak of like you can't include these in your game without doing some world building. Yeah, and I really like that with a class. I really like with a class where by including it in the game, I have to like make space for it. Whereas some of the base classes, you don't have to do much finagling to make rogues and fighters and the like work. But something like a blood hunter, it says something about your world. It says something about the people in it. Or like there are enough ghosts out there that there needs to be a ghost slayer profession. There are enough, mutants out there that people know what mutants are and how to manipulate things and how to like isolate what they want out of whatever mutagens are floating around, whatever nasty things from limbo they're injecting into themselves.
And I can't imagine a world in D&D that couldn't use a ghost slayer, right? Like there are enough ghosts in Faerun.
Yes.
Certainly enough in Exandria. And I would just assume that all of Dark Sun is ghosts, but you don't see them that often.
Yeah, yeah. I would assume there's actually a lot of them in Dark Sun, unless they weren't consumed by a sorcerer king or something like that.
And the danger of being a ghost slayer in a setting like Ravenloft um, is quite interesting because you are so specified
Oh yeah,
towards this thing. You don't think the dark powers are going to notice when a blood hunter enters into the realm of Ravenloft?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
They're
or the
gonna know.
domains of dread, rather.
Yes, yeah. They're gonna
So
know.
yeah,
They're gonna know. They brought you here to have some fun.
yeah.
They
I feel
would-
like the mutant is kind of like it. It's kind of hard to choose, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I do like being able to like just I just like the creepiness of it. I love the idea that like maybe you can work it into your character that you killed a troll and then you're like, I wonder what happens when I inject myself with troll blood.
Yeah, right. I wonder if I put one of their livers in me.
Yeah,
That's that kind of thing.
it does
Like
regrow, so it's a
regrow.
universal donor, I would argue.
I would say certainly,
Oh
certainly.
man. See,
What
now I need a
happens if
blood
I
hunter doctor.
what happens if I give myself like a spinal tap of elder brain fluid? Like
Oh, missed opportunity for the artificer alchemist, dude. The mad scientist who's just like, I bet you this
yeah,
works.
yeah.
Like if I
Bring out that potion miscibility table. See what happens.
oh
But yeah,
yeah.
like over
Because
so
that's exactly what the Simic hybrids are doing, right? Like they're
well,
just
and the Simic hybrid makes a great base for a blood hunter.
yeah.
Not inappropriately, because that +2 con really
Yeah.
helps with the fact that they're going to want a high con, and then you get your choice of whatever secondary stat you want, plus like the adaptations you get at the different levels. I really like Simic hybrid for this class.
Yeah, it kind of melds perfectly. It's kind of funny how much Blood Hunter would fit in the world of Ravnica and
Oh my
Magic the
god,
Gathering.
yes. Yes. Oh yeah.
like I could see. I don't know if Matt Mercer can work out a deal with Magic the Gathering, but like,
I'm sure he
can you
finds himself in the same
imagine
building a lot of the same times.
an Exandria Magic the Gathering deck?
Oh,
Would
don't
be
tease. Don't tease. Let's
pretty
not do that.
amazing. Exandria Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, look at the
Play
hashtag.
Blood Hunters. You got Dunamancy.
Oh yeah. Blood Hunters are Inskeep, surely.
Well,
That's what I
thanks.
use
So
them.
here we have a real quick
got?
question. Someone's wondering what kind of backstory would you have for a goblin blood hunter?
What kind? What order?
Let me see. These questions are coming in pretty hot and heavy right
Yeah.
now. So let's see. Goblin blood hunter. It really depends on what type of blood hunter you're being. What are all the blood hunter subclasses we've got here?
So we've got Ghost Slayer, Lycan, Mutant, and Profane Soul, which is like a quarter cast, not quarter, but like a third caster, but Warlock. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a more fightery Warlock.
Yeah.
The other thing that, before I answer this question, the other thing that I really like about the Blood Hunter is since the inception of D&D, everyone has wanted to be a fighter mage.
Yeah.
And now we've got so many attempts at it that almost everyone's a Gish.
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
The Ranger has spells, Eldritch Knight. We've got the Blade Song, Blade Singer Wizard. They're all these little attempts amongst the subclasses. You could argue the Arcane Trickster as well, and then the Warlock Hexblade are all Gish.
Yeah, certainly.
Why not just have a class that is a Gish? Right?
Yeah, at this point, yeah, it does like a Duskblade or a Spellblade or something like that kind of class.
Yeah. At this point, this is it. Like the Blood Hunter is essentially here's your fighter mage.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, because you have the magic and the fighting ability. Like I think like something like Ranger or so Paladin. Like I could see maybe an Arcane style Paladin would also could work with Let's Model. But I like that idea, right? And there's something that where I look at like all the different ways to make a Gish, whether, like you were saying, all of them. And I go like, God, shouldn't there just be the one? And I kind of go back on the fence, back and forth on it. Right now I like all the different individual instances of it because they could each represent like separate schools of thought or like fighting schools or something. But it does make me long for a proper like full 20 levels. I've got arcane spells and fighting ability, and I'm not a lore bard. You know, that's another.
That's
Or not a little more
bards.
sword. Sorry,
Yeah.
my bad. Sword and valor.
Yeah, you can complain all you want about warlocks and their ability to kind of sort of do almost everything. Bards are just like ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of builds where you end up. I have often, like character concepts where I'm like, really, I'd have to do bard to get everything I want. I'd have to be bard.
Yeah, you'd have to be bard.
Like I want to make a Loki. I'd have to do bard because it's the only one that can do it all, and effectively.
Yeah.
Necessarily. So what backstory would you choose for a goblin blood hunter? Ooh, I would go dark with this, and I would choose like the mutant. And I ate a lot of things that were wrong that I shouldn't have ate.
Ooh, yeah.
And like I feasted on the troll, like, or maybe that's my whole thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, mechanically for the game itself, I would basically be constantly looking for new things to eat and alter my form. As a goblin, because goblins, often can
Yeah.
just about anything. Or I would do a very scientifically minded and intellectual kind of I believe Styx the Goblin is the video game series.
yeah,
Is a
yeah,
really good
yeah.
example of that kind of like mentality. Just a very, very I don't want to spoil the plot line of that, but it would make a lot of sense for being a blood hunter, actually.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to play those games, but I've never.
Oh, they're so good.
Oh, yeah.
The second
That
one
looked
is
like it.
really good. I can't believe it's not more popular. If you like sneaking,
Really?
if you like magic, if you like world building,
Sold.
so good. And
It's on sale all the time.
Sneaky game.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, Styx. Check it
It's
out.
like it's like Thief, but you're a goblin.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all I know about it.
yeah. Which, how are you not on board right away?
Sure.
Yeah, it certainly has taken on the mantle of the Thief series, and it's a little not like Dishonored, because Dishonored is a lot more actiony, like hardcore. I mean, takes a lot of like you can run through it, but you shouldn't.
Right, take your time.
We got another question. If you were to dream up a fifth subclass for the Blood Hunter, what niche would it fill? For me, it'd probably be a Lovecraftian aberration chaser. That's great. And I kind of feel like if you're a blood hunter and you're chasing after aberrations, you have been altered somehow, like his view, or perhaps you have to have a touch of the madness yourself.
Or Order of the Elder Sign.
No,
It's like something like that.
It's that magic you can't even talk about,
right?
And the further you go down that road, the less of you become.
Oh yes.
So it may be like a blood hunter subclass as an expiration date. Yeah, you're 20th level, but
something's coming for you.
When you hit 21, you're done. You are part of the problem.
Oh yes, yeah. I think like if I was thinking, I might see if there's a way to do an order that's like the use of celestial like magic or something where it's like, like angel binding or something, where you're not like, you're not a paladin. You might not, they might not like that you're doing this, but like, you need these angels to like fight these devils kind of thing. And you don't care. You're not here for the religious part.
It gets into the fun Constantine kind of area. This is why I like warlocks that could do the Pact of the Celestial, because I love the idea of an evil warlock for a change, making a pact with a good aligned patron.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Which is hilarious to me on a lot of levels. I'm sorry, but like no one's that good. So in the world of lawful good, they're eventually going to put all the neutral good people in jail because they're not good enough.
Because they're not. Yes, right. Exactly.
So lawful good will become evil. That's always how I treat that. So I think that's a charming idea. And yeah, for you to be using divine energy and pumping it into your veins has a lot of interesting implications. For the same reason I like the idea of like ghouls that constantly feed off vampires. And gain all of their traits and strength, and they become the hunter that hunts the hunters. And I think the blood hunter is a good example of that possibility. So,
I mean, if you want to go like undead, you could do something like that, where an order of the ghoul, where it's like you're maybe almost a villain class, like an oathbreaker or something. But if you're a cannibal and eating things in D&D gives you
Yeah.
abilities, then what if you ate people? Like,
Of course, I always stray towards undead.
yeah.
I actually think the Undying Warlock is a very good subclass. Don't at me.
It's been a long time since I looked at it.
Yeah, go into Ravenloft and make every undead creature make a wisdom saving throw
That's
to
true.
hit you.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some real stuff there, man. Solid.
Right.
I mean, specific to your campaign, but wow.
Oh, certainly.
So I like I would love kind of a necrotic blood hunter who has, either they've tampered with vampiric blood itself and have kind of given themselves a certain level of undeath, or they've snuffed out some of the light inside of themselves to maybe see a little bit more of the Shadowfell and what lies on the other side.
Yeah.
Someone who's taken a dip too far into the darkness, and
Definitely
consequently has altered themselves, not like a shadow sorcerer, right? Like you're just off. You don't blink when you're supposed to.
Right. People catch you not breathing.
Yeah, your heartbeat is like once per hour.
Right.
I like the idea of that blood hunter. And again, I like the idea like what I also like is the concept of consequences in terms of narrative. You have this blood hunter who eventually just did die and is still walking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Almost like a revenant or something like that. I can see that.
You get that kind of like lycanthropy kind of issue, right? Where you can be consumed by lycanthropy. You become the werewolf. You become the danger. And I like the idea of a blood hunter who eventually becomes the thing that they've gone too far with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, certainly. So I think
vampires
that's really
would make a lot of sense. I mean, infecting yourself with mummy rot would be pretty dope,
Yes. We have to do it to make yourself tough, and like you got to withstand all that.
Yeah. I mean, think of the horrible undead that you could involve yourself in to become stronger. Because vampires are the low-hanging fruit of that.
Yeah, there's some other ones you could replace your shadow with a shadow.
Let's see. I could see something really fun where, oh god, I want this now.
What's the one? What's the undead
the blood hunter
intestine?
that can rip their own shadow out?
Yes,
basically, and make it a shadow demon. So you've made that kind of Shadowfell deal.
Yeah,
is super fun. Unfortunately, that's a mechanic that is going to exist soon. And another
something else.
But God, there's a lot of a potential for necrotic undead blood hunter. There's a lot of potential for Matt Mercer. If you're watching this, I'm not asking as a friend. I'm asking on behalf of the people.
So like a blue mage from Final Fantasy, like they could take enemy abilities and sort of I would use that with this class here. Like maybe another type of caster subclass maybe, but I want like a blood hunter that can temporarily has the power of like a hydra, or can grow arm spikes because they were near manticore or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
I would like a table.
Yeah.
Of like a who's who list of monsters, and if you eat them, what happens to you? Almost like the blood hunter cookbook. I would be pretty excited for or even general for creatures, because I love downtime activities like brewing potions and stuff like that, or making poison. Man, I would love an experimental table of just wild magic proportions of what happens when you eat.
I'm telling you, it's a Google search away, my friend. There are so many options out there for you for your dungeon monster dining.
Now, here's a question. What about cross-classing abilities for the Blood Hunter, maybe Sorcerer, for the Draconic Aberrant Mark ideas? I think this is the one case, because I know there's much debate, because there is a lot of synergy between the Sorcerer and the Warlock, being both charisma casters. And if you just want to blast for all the Eldritch blasts on the planet, one dip into Fighter, you got Sorcerer, you got Warlock, and then you're just Eldritch blasting 500 points of damage or knocking something,
do it. Pick up spell
5,000 feet away. You're basically knocking something a mile away. Super abusive, but super fun if you want to be the John Wick of Eldritch Blast. But that said, this is one of those moments where this makes sense of like you've been injecting yourself with blood so much that you are, you've been manipulating yourself so much that you've actually now innately have this spell casting as a
Yeah,
sorcerer. I could see you becoming a sorcerer after the
certainly.
fact.
Certainly. Yeah.
Of all the classes that would awaken something within you, it would be the blood hunter.
Yeah.
Maybe warlock as well. You made the pact, and then it kind of like sparks magic that was already within you, which becomes, potentially a plot line about how manipulative your patron is.
Right.
Your patron basically gaslit you into thinking that you have to make a deal to get magic, but the magic was within you all along. Is some
Sure.
pretty shady shit.
Yeah, that sounds just like a fiend.
That sounds exactly like a fiend.
Yeah.
You need me. Let me help you. And then you're like,
Oh, yeah.
wait, I was a sorcerer this whole time.
This whole time? Yeah.
Why did I even bother? All I can do is disguise self at will, and that's all I got.
Right. I'd say like the thing that I keep running into when I get to like all the concepts I want to play with is how mad the class is, right? Like multi-attribute dependency. And I do think that that's kind of one thing that holds back some of those. But at the same time, when I think about how I deal with it at the table, it'd be just like, well, maybe a blood hunter, like they used to use wisdom as their casting stat. Like you could easily just adjust things so that you can eventually sort of like play the character combination that you'd like. But I do think like as written, there are some hard limits on what you can do with it. And
absolutely.
But at the same time, like I like having to balance all that out. Like, it'd be nice to have, only one stat to worry about. But the fact that you do have multiple stats that you have to prioritize, do I use a feat? Do I raise one of these? Am I comfortable not having something at 20? Gasp. As something, or looking for, say, like stat boosting items or other ways to raise your abilities, because I do think that this is one of those classes where so many options are available that like you can get by without being focused, I think, in your abilities. But yeah, it sucks for whatever the one stat you're going to keep low.
Yeah. This isn't, I don't mean to advertise D&D Beyond here. It is available on D&D Beyond. And if there was a subclass that is a lot easier to dive into and learn with the backing of an online aid like D&D Beyond, this is it. Like, this is a good way to keep everything in check for you.
Yeah. Like just keeping the information organized is a challenge. So a complex class like this is good.
The implications of warlock, because they, eventually you get revealed arcana. I mean, not revealed arcana, but you can, profane soul. You can connect yourself to any of the existing patrons within D&D. So you've got, you can do the Celestial, the Undying, the Great Old One, the Fiend, the Archfey. I love that the profane soul exists because you can kind of get you can be that kind of combat warlocky thing that you wanted and be of any patron, because what archfey isn't going to want a warrior, right?
Certainly.
And kind of have that hexblade level of combat goodness. So I think profane soul kind of really adapts to that very well.
Well, and what you also have like is a class in the Blood Hunter that can fit as like a fourth or fifth character in a party, and have a lot of different options for like making sure if like thematic compatibility is important to a group. Like you have so many different options for how this warrior has their powers, where they got them from, and all that that you get really versatile that way. Because I'm thinking of things like, well, what if you had a party of all of the sort of fey coded characters, glamour bard, dreams druid. Yeah. Then I could definitely see like a blood hunter or archfey blood hunter right alongside a warlock and Oath of Ancients paladin.
I loved themed groups because I think that I think the fear is that everyone's kind of like on board with the same message, but I think that actually causes more divergent paths than don't. Try to play a game with all rogues.
It's gonna be fun.
There's a lot of rogues. And they all have a different point of view. And also sneak attack.
Sneak attack. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, that's going to get rid of a lot of problems where One of the other things I noticed, at least with the Order of the Lycan, and I didn't have a lot of chance to like go through each of the orders and like compare them again. Um, I'd heard somewhere that there were some, like some of them are quote unquote better, but I really don't like. To me, that's a style of like thinking about D&D that I've been like, I don't have as much fun when I think of which number's bigger
Every
anymore.
time
As
I
much as I
do,
love power
every time I
gaming,
do, I kill the fun of the class for myself. I mean, Arcane Trickster
sure,
is super powerful.
yeah,
There's no question, and versatile and fun.
yeah. But I
It's
noticed,
it's rare that you're going to get all of that and also like a theme that you love at the same
oh
time.
yeah, but I noticed with the Lycan, you've got a lot of bonus actions going on. And
Yeah,
like if you wanted to fully power up, like with your transformation and then
you
your
got to build
right
to that.
things, you really got to like, yeah, you got to build to that. Or see if you can't like get your DM to be like, yeah, you just like, if all you do is want to power up like in a turn, like if you just want to have a Super Saiyan scene where where you go nuts, your shirt rips off and the blood pumps through you, and then we just go to the next person. I might I might do that, just given how short, like in terms of rounds, some D&D fights can be. But that's like the one thing, like one like nail head that was sticking up that I noticed. Any of those, anything that you would like tweak or adjust if you were going to
No,
run it?
I think this is a more advanced class,
Mhm.
certainly. That's the one thing I would be like, okay, if someone wants to play Blood Hunter, they got to learn it.
Oh yeah,
Um, I think this is every bit as complex as, say, playing, a Psionicist class.
certainly.
For example, in second edition, this really the onus to really know this thing backwards and forwards is on the player, because not every dungeon master is going to be as familiar with that,
Mhm, mhm.
or and possibly won't have as much time. They should, uh, but yeah, this is a buy-in from the dungeon master and the player, being
Yeah,
that this is a completely new class. Um, so know your abilities, understand what everything means, and I think it's a good thing to start off at level 1
yeah,
and learn it from there. Um, I do adore it because of the complexity, and I kind of need that more in my D&D. I
yeah.
think we should have, because let's face it, the fighter champion is like as simple as it gets.
Sure.
Um, this is on the other end of that spectrum, right? This has a great deal of complexity. This is almost like the wizardy fighter in that sense of like, okay, you gotta know your math,
Yeah.
keep track of your abilities, but it's always deeply rewarding.
Very much so. Very much so.
So nothing's sticking out. I don't remember the original with like absolute clarity, but I am super happy with the range of diversity here.
There's a
Um,
lot. There really is.
I love werebats. Too bad I can't fly in the lycanthropy section.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna be a jerk about it. I know flying is one of the most broken things in all of D&D, and
yeah,
I understand that, but don't make every croaker then.
yeah, I'm fine with it. If you can fly, especially like by the time it would get it, it would probably be all right. You're not
Yeah.
flying from first level or anything like that.
I think it's a lovely class just to do a deep dive and become an expert at,
Yeah,
you know, like just know it backwards and forwards.
yeah.
Um,
Well, certainly in the fact that there's not really like like the choices for both the base class and the subclass have all these different levels, and then we haven't even talked about the synergy between the class and like what backgrounds you would pick.
right.
Like because to me that is much of informs how I play the character and everything than anything else.
Yeah.
Haunted one step stands out as like the big like okay I do that, but I could see like cloistered scholar.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I mean, anything that gives you like a herbalism kit, right?
yeah,
Or
yes,
medicine, because you could be
ooh,
brewing potions in your downtime,
yeah,
for people as well.
absolutely.
And I'd be very curious about, well, the only thing that makes sense with really for me, the artificer alchemist.
Hmm.
And I don't know that I would do that. I feel like I would just do 20 levels of blood hunter, really.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, they get proficiency in alchemist tools if you pick up a medicine kit or not a medicine kit, but healer's kit proficiency or herbalism kit proficiency, that is, from your background, then you can do all the alchemy that I would want to do with this class.
Right.
You know, like I don't want to, I'm not throwing potions and chemical bombs at people.
Right.
And if I am, I just, you know, I'll just use the regular stuff, I guess.
I like the mechanics of it. It's the questions that it makes me ask myself that I actually enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of these questions here that people are like, okay, well would I be injecting the blood, or would I be ingesting the blood of a vampire to do this? Would my backstory be, you know, we got another question, would starting out as a hemophiliac make a good backstory for a blood hunter? I mean, like all these, yes. Like I played even a year ago as a human who had no magic at all. They made a deal. They tricked an entity. They were a fighter that actually got hurt and had an encounter with a specter.
Ooh, yeah.
And lost all of their strength. Because, you know, specters in first edition were very nasty.
They're nasty. They were not CR1 creatures.
No. So specters were really rough. And so the idea of this person who was pretty healthy and fit lost all their power, and then their hexblade was their, you know, their family greatsword. And they were like this very deeply skinny kind of Vincent Price, Jack Skellington thin person who could carry this, you know, Final Fantasy sized greatsword. Was charming to me. And that eventually at 6th level as a Hexblade Warlock, you could, you know, create your own Spectre. Was kind of full circle with by the time you hit 6th level, and maybe implies that a Hexblade Warlock came at you, and in fact his patron came after him as well. So anyways, that's why I like this asks a lot of questions, like how are you getting this magic? You know, you can make up a lot of stuff yourself and go beyond what's been written here. So yeah, I mean, if you were a hemophiliac or you have any kind of bloodborne disease and you decided to become intelligent and try to cure this, this is very interesting. Okay, of course you would become a blood hunter, or maybe you were very sickly as a child. I could see a scenario where you live in a village and they need better warriors, right? Like
they send you off to the order.
It's just how things were.
That like those questions that they sort of like force you to ask are why I like very specific classes. Like I think like if you were making like a toolkit game, like I think, you know, PHP classes, especially the big four, it's like toolkit. But like if I'm making a homebrew world, like I want classes like the Blood Hunter, because it's like very specific, and more than like the mechanics of it, like it's the integration into a world and like how you build that up and create very specific characters that can come from these fantasy worlds is where I think like the real weight of something like this lies. Like that's people are going to remember, I think, more than like how much damage they did.
I'm not as concerned with the mechanics of it, which are very thorough. I just like, I love the story implications. It's a very story implication class, a very role play heavy class, and boy, that's all of this makes you feel like the outsider, especially this couldn't be more than night and day from the ranger thematically, right? Like, I expect a ranger super doesn't like a blood hunter.
I can see that too. Well, I mean, they step on each other's toes a bit, you know,
they in terms of socially, toes, but they're coming from two totally different places.
Like a monster slayer and an order of the mutant are after the same target or something like that.
Oh man, I mean that's like a la carte. From Castlevania, working with a Beaumont.
Man.
Like that's like the two different sides of this. These worlds coming together. I've been watching a lot of Castlevania lately, so
as you do,
it's a good show. What would you ask a DM that isn't open to new things? To let you try this class? Tell them Todd Kenrick from D&D Beyond said you should.
I promise your DM you
go
won't
ahead and
abuse
clip
it.
out. Go and clip out this video from Twitch right now.
Yeah.
you should let your player try to play a blood hunter in your game.
Just give it a shot. You know, maybe you could promise to not abuse it, or like that you will shoulder the burden of.
Yes.
Because usually I find whenever a DM's like, no, I'm not going to allow that, there's one of two reasons. Thematically, it doesn't fit.
True.
In which case you would probably know already if it wasn't, or they are afraid it's going to mess something up.
Right.
And you know, I let it happen. It'll be messed up. It's fine.
It's fine.
You'll recover.
Things go wrong.
But yeah, that's how
I don't think this is going to break the game. Again, it is something that requires you to very much know your class, your subclass. I think there are a lot of classes in D&D you can kind of fumble around with and learn on the fly, which is the whole point. That's how you learn D&D. If you don't play it, you're not going to know it. You can't read it 1,000 times and just kind of get it.
Yeah, that's why I'm a big advocate of play your first class should be one that you just are excited to play.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck with the fighter because people are like, it's simple, or the healer because we need a healer.
Worst mistake. I mean, if you want to be completely technical, my very first class was the cleric in original D&D, who for some reason was like 7 foot tall and weighed 120 pounds, and had a strength of 8. But because my brother told me, like, you have to play a cleric because that's the only way you're going to be able to heal yourself.
Yeah.
Which was a bummer because I did not want to play a cleric.
My first D&D character was a cleric too. I took over someone else's character, 14th level, 2nd edition cleric, specialty priest. Sorry, not cleric. And I had never. I played other RPGs, but I didn't realize that the cleric was the only one that could heal. And so everybody get mad at me when I call down flame strikes and strength, strength and other type spells. Because I'm like, yeah, I got healing, but I've only got like a couple of those. I can also turn people. I can also paralyze a bunch of people. You know.
And remember that D&D is not an MMO or a video game. You don't need to have a particular comp. And
for real.
Really,
especially in 5th edition.
This very old-timey way of looking at composition in a D&D game. Like, you can only have one cleric.
Sure.
Or you need at least one cleric.
When there's only 3 classes.
Has to be the rogue. And I'm like, man, there's so much overlap.
Right. When there's only 3 classes, you do need that kind of. Like, if you roll up in there with 3 magic users, you might have a problem. You know, might. And that's might.
But even then, like, eventually a wizard can do.
Eventually, they'll just be invisible. Right.
You know, like a hexblade warlock. Yeah, warlocks can. I mean, okay, you go into the shadows and you turn invisible.
Yeah. There's so much, and
spider climb. You can get around a lot of things.
You really can. You really can.
And fill in that gap. Celestial warlock can be your big healer. Divine soul sorcerer can be all of the things, and then there's bard, which literally is all of the things. So my advice would be it's a very long-winded answer. If your dungeon master wants to learn the blood hunter and you want to learn the blood hunter, you should definitely give it a go. And who doesn't want to learn new things? It makes things exciting. So I would, if one of my players want to play a blood hunter, I'd be totally game. That's my answer to that. Let's see.
Give it a shot. What could happen? What's the worst that could happen?
What is the worst thing that could happen? Let's see. Oh, this is just a message from Lauren Urban, just saying that flying only sounds broken until you fall out of the sky.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You're broken.
Yeah, you're broken. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you.
This has come up. I mean, if you're flying, you are the world's biggest target. So in a sea of arrows, you are.
Yeah. I thought I was going to be a badass and play a level 21 shot with an Aarakocra Ranger and be like, I'm just going to fly and shoot things with my bow and not even worry about it. First round, if I didn't have a potion of invulnerability, I would have been knocked out.
Yeah. There's this thing called geometry.
Right.
And
it hurts.
When you're moving from a 2-dimensional plane to a 3-dimensional plane, in terms of targeting, it's really rough. So, ask yourself this question. Is it better to fight one zombie head to head or have 6 zombies, they fight, 6 zombies all in a row, or have them all surround you and be able to hit you all in one round? And that's what flying does for you.
Yeah.
I think you can have up to 8, actually. Medium creature can have 8 other medium creatures. I'm doing research.
Yeah.
Can attack them.
Flying, there could be up to 27. Like if you count the top and bottom, because I ran an underwater game last year.
I love that you know that math. 27.
Yeah, something like that.
Man, you are in a bad way.
Yeah.
If you are in a fear of flying creatures that are medium. That's a dead character.
Yeah, it's a swarm of flying piranhas.
Ooh, just flying goblins or something. Flying piranhas is terrifying.
Oh yes.
Now I want to cast like
piranha bats.
Can you cast fly on anything? Flying Tyrannosaur?
I believe so, yes. But I mean, this raises a whole host of questions that we could do. Like, how do you control the flying?
Yeah.
Like, do you
Is it their intelligence?
Yeah. Who's doing it? Like, even if the wizard's concentrating on the spell, if the fighter is flying, like, how do they fly? How is that happening? Or is the wizard controlling them? Who knows? Like, there's a lot of questions there.
It gets touchy. What else? Anything else about the Blood Hunter? Do we have any more questions from chat that I have not answered? I think this is really fun. I think it's really good to use on D&D Beyond. I'm not really trying to plug my own company. I just think this definitely simplifies things for you.
Definitely.
To get the most out of this subclass, it's really fun. It scratches an itch that is otherwise not being scratched. To be honest, and I like a darker D&D. It makes me want more dark D&D.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy Crawford specifically noted while we were hanging out talking, he's like, you seem like someone who is in desperate need of gothic adventure. Because all of my character concepts go super dark.
Oh yes.
Very rapidly, and that is why I'm embracing my new main necromancer, because I'm just like, no, I'm doing this. Just going all in.
Just embrace it. Come on.
I'm going to go all dark. All the darkest thing I can do. I'm doing it. We'll see what happens. I played lots of Vampire Masquerade, so I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
Heck, I played the Shadow of a Wraith. So if you want to see annoying, my commitment to the darkness is big.
I was gonna say, I'd play Wraith with you. That sounds fun.
Yeah, Wraith is fun. Let's see. We got another question coming up. Lauren Urban, I can see her typing right now. I think this is a really fun. Blood Hunter's a really fun villain.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, especially like a morally ambiguous. Are they like they're the antagonist, but are they like evil? Are they just extreme? There's a lot of different ways you could take this kind of character.
Not quite sure the context of this question. Would either of you have a Blood Hunter ready to play? Well, I have about 99 characters.
I've got one ready to play right now.
Yeah, yes, I absolutely would.
In fact, we don't have equipment, but
I would definitely have one ready all the time. In fact, I will make sure I have one ready pretty soon. I just want to narrow it down because I do have a little bit of character attention issue. I change and I'll come up with it's a very easy thing. It's right in my wheelhouse with Blood Hunter. So I can see my secondary character certainly being a Blood Hunter. I just love the idea of having all these chemicals and vials. The artwork is amazing, by the way, in this. There is a really cool piece of art of a Blood Hunter who has all the vials and potions on their belt.
Yes.
It's so fun. It kind of speaks to that Constantine vibe as well. If you've seen the movie and you've read the comics of, there's this wonderful kind of like, he's always got a magical thing that will help him, right? It's totally random. And I feel like the Blood Hunter is that kind of same hodgepodge.
Yeah.
That's just my wheelhouse for a character. That's why I like Arcane Tricksters, and that's why I like Warlocks and having spell components that make no sense. I would definitely have a secondary Blood Hunter. I think I would probably be Path of the Mutant. If I did, because I've done so much Warlock, I would probably go
Path of Mutant.
I'd probably go Mutant, to tell you the truth. I do love Lycanthropy so much, but I think Mutant I can like make really weird, and add a lot of weird flavor other than just growing hair.
Yeah, well, it's got those trade-offs, right? And I think the fact that there are trade-offs there makes it just more interesting. You'd probably just have more interesting decisions to make in the game, as like mechanically as well as narratively. When you get both of those going, that's when it's really.
If you're, as anyone knows, and I've gone, so I've recently been on a diet, and I've went off caffeine and everything, and carbs. It's pretty amazing what happens to your brain chemistry when you do that.
Sure.
I'm not completely off caffeine. But so it does pose the question: if you're like juicing up with troll blood and all these mutagens, how does that affect you long term? Do you have, you can put yourself in a position of role playing withdrawal from, you're addicted to your magic. I mean, there's a lot that can be done there role play wise. Like, I'm super excited. So the more I talk about it, I'm just going to do it now. So
do it. Yeah.
we should set an hour aside where Jim and I roll up blood hunters and explain why.
Yes.
We can do,
walk
that
through
might be the next, maybe we'll do that next week. If we don't have another Unearthed Arcana, we can make blood hunters live and explain our character concepts. That would be pretty fun.
Good.
Question: what would be the most amusing race to see as a blood hunter character for you? I can tell you right now that my most amusing rune knight is a goblin. So let me think, because tall goblin, so scary. I made one in Hero Forge, and that is stuff of nightmares. You end up looking like the god of death from Death Note.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Super upsetting.
Warforged for me. Warforged Blood Hunter.
Oh my god, a Warforged that is just like clear tubing with the blood of trolls and vampires mixing.
He's had to like do like special. He's like graft maybe something onto it. Maybe it's like General Grievous from the prequels, and I will reference the prequels where it's like
a cool Grievous,
right? Like something like there's a heart there,
Just oh my god! If General Grievous had like fed on the blood of Jedi, like that's why he had pumping inside of him, and that's why he hunted them, then I'm down.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, I do Warforged myself. I just find a way to make it work. Yeah,
dude, I just want to see all that tubing.
Yes,
just full of different weird monster mutants and stuff that you're injecting into yourself.
Yeah.
Or you've got that rune thing where like, which is like in everything. You press the blood against the runes in your chest, and the blood just kind of trickles around in all the little grooves and everything and forms patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You came up with the best thing. Hate you. So cool.
It's really cool. I like it.
Oh man, a robot juicing on organic life is so charming. What that does to your wood eventually?
Wood
as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're partially organic as a Warforged, right? Like that's why you can be susceptible to certain
like healing.
It's why you're not 100% construct. And so I like that little shred of whatever is left of that soul that animates you. You're like, I know, I got to get all that back. It's time to give myself my blood back.
Now, Kenku, I don't really know. I mean, it's interesting because you never really see, like, what does that do to your feathers?
Yeah, would you just become like a giant sort of like, like if you wanted to go the demonic, monstrous route with a Kenku, you could.
Right.
Long-necked birds are creepy. Yeah. I'm sorry, like...
I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
you're right. They are creepy. Long-necked birds are creepy. You turn into some horrible blood hunter flamingo.
Yeah.
I am horrified by that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Vidalkin makes no, that doesn't do anything. Juiced up Minotaur is interesting.
Yeah. Like a blood raging Minotaur kind of thing.
Who's the most like? Oh man, an addicted halfling is creepy, right? Like just a charming halfling that's gone bad.
Yeah.
Or a halfling. I mean, imagine what would have happened to Frodo if he had been overcome by the Morgul blade and Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers.
Yeah.
And he's always been kind of like, after that blade, the blade was inserted into him, he was always kind of half in and half out.
Yeah. I can see like
meddling with the ring itself. Yeah, being a ghost slayer.
Yes.
I think that's interesting for a halfling. Kender would be hilarious if there were Kender and if they brought back Kender, who I hate.
Yeah,
I hate Kender. Oh my god! But you make that sucker a blood hunter. I'm on board. I want to see how bummed that Kender gets.
Yeah. Can we just break them?
Gnome's pretty fun because that seems like first off, the gnomes got the intelligence. They got that weird tinkery thing, but they're the ones who went too far with it, right? They're not tinkering with other things; they're tinkering with themselves.
They always push it too far.
Yeah, you're definitely like the dentist elf from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like you're like, no, man, that's
Oh
not
my
what we
God.
do here. We make toys. You're
I
injecting yourself with wyvern blood.
I could see.
I don't know what that guy's about.
Oh my God. I can also see the Ganassi having like they get +2 Constitution as a bait as their primary, and like
Right.
you're already got that elemental power going on. So it's like it fits with the right bonus
Oh
damage
man.
stuff. And then like you already can kind of justify it as having magic in your veins.
I think this might be my wife's Megan's new character, because she came up with a character. The character, I hope I'm not spoiling anything for her. So her character concept is a water genasi,
Mm.
that I believe is a shadow sorcerer or warlock,
Ooh.
and her name is Delilah Darkwave. So
That's cool.
super gothy.
Yes.
But imagine a genasi that's tied to the elemental plane of water, who again is mixing chemicals into their elemental water magic. That's cool.
Yeah.
And or if you're fire, you're burning things, and that
Yeah.
somehow is super creepy. But also like the act of burning incense or something, burning the bones of your enemies somehow like suffuses into your blood hunter nature. You can do some interesting, very kind of weirdly spiritual blood hunter stuff. So.
You could do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's what we got. Wow, an hour went by super fast again. The Blood Hunter is available right now on D&D Beyond and also DM's Guild. It's super cool. It's made by Matthew Mercer. He's done a fantastic job. He has poured so much love into this subclass. Super clear. I mean, this entire class. And it's just a scratch in D&D. I think that is definitely worth scratching. And it makes my old decrepit goth heart happy. So thank you, Tim Davis. Check out WebDM. They're fantastic. I was doing a lot of research this weekend. In fact, watching lots of WebDM videos. They have a wonderful way of explaining D&D concepts, schools of magic, subclasses, classes, D&D theory, game playing theory. Go to WebDM for all your D&D needs. Learning more about D&D, it's a fantastic resource. They also have a Patreon you should check out as well. And what are kind of benefits you get from that Patreon?
So we have a weekly podcast where if you like the Wednesday video, then you get like an hour and a half of more of that basically. And then occasionally as we're able to catch up, we post audio of the Wednesday shows. Sometimes there's backstage or like blooper footage, that kind of thing. And it's also where we do a lot of our announcements for upcoming projects. So yeah, there's a lot going on the Patreon. It's really cool.
All right, live from Jim's very creepy basement. Ta-da! That's not that creepy. You can make it creepier.
I could. Maybe next time. There's a machete up there somewhere.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that won't come to haunt you.
Not at all.
All right, thank you everyone for watching Todd Talks. We will see you next week. Bye.